sports card fans. Welcome back to another episode of Two Guys, One Hobby with Dawn and John. Dawn, how's life treating you?
Life is good. I'm on vacation. We got Christmas coming up. Merry Christmas, brother.
Yeah, same to you.
I don't think we'll have to
Are
go.
you all ready? Presents bought, wrapped, all that stuff? You
We're
ahead of the
close.
game?
You know, I've got one daughter home. Can't wait for the other one to come home.
Yep, my son's home from Penn State.
Nice.
Yep, I still
And,
haven't done any wrapping yet. My wife's like,
we haven't done
when are you going to get around to wrapping? And I'm like, before Christmas. There's still, as a guy, there's still days available.
A couple Christmases ago, after my youngest, who was a senior in high school, I was like, this was a while back. None of them were talking about Santa anymore. And I was like, kind of miss those days and them running down here. Now they're a bunch of slugs and they just sleep in on Christmas Day. But it's kind of changed that I get so excited. My son's here, but he's going to be gone next year. Mm-hmm. But when the girls come home, man, I'm a happy kid.
Yeah. Well, we have
my family all together. I love it.
Yeah. We have a 2-year-old and about a 6-month-old grandsons. So the 2-year-old, it's my wife's son from her previous marriage, and so she's all excited about. I mean, she's gone crazy with gifts and all this stuff, and he hasn't seen our Christmas tree yet. So he's coming. We're having a New Year's Eve or a Christmas Eve
right
thing, and then Christmas is going to be at my parents'. We're just trying to coordinate everything. It's crazy.
Well, that's the magic of it all, man.
Yeah. So he sort of knows, the 2-year-old sort of knows the whole Santa thing. At least he's getting into, being aware of it. So that'll be fun.
Well, that's awesome.
We have a guest, as we always do. And this time it was your choice to pick the guest. So if you want to introduce, and we'll bring them on.
Yeah. So I think I'm on the first 5 subs of this guy, and I could be wrong. I'm going to put a little feather in my hat because I found this guy and just related to him right away. He lives in West Virginia, which I don't live in West Virginia, but I don't live far from it. And I like West Virginia. My wife went to school in West Virginia, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful country. And this guy's collection is amazing. And he's the kind of guy I like, just a down-to-earth guy. No frills or thrills, just shows cars. And that's Rocketrickj. So let's bring Rocketrickj on.
All right. Hi, Rick.
Hello, John. Don, how are you guys?
I'm doing well.
Very good. Very good.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Before we get into this, what does the Rocket stand for, and what does the 18 stand for?
Well, it's a long story.
Well, we have time.
Yep.
But I have, pretty fat fingers. So when I signed up for an email address, I thought I should have something clever. So, Rocketrickj is alliterative. But when I went to hit the K, I also hit the J at the same time. And I thought I was going to change it and, go through all that mess to do that. But then I got to thinking, well, my wife's name is Judy, and that starts with J. So I'll just tell her the J is for her.
Okay, but that doesn't include the 18 or the Rocket.
The 18 was just my number in high school.
All right. Okay. And what's the Rocket? Are you a Clemens fan, or what's the Rocket?
It's just alliterative,
Okay. All right. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just
it's not complicated.
Yeah, I see that. So I wanted to have Rick on just because amazing collector. He's a vintage guy, which that's what I am. And he just, man, the cards you show consistently are just amazing. So as usual, John and I do not pick a topic because we're lazy. So we said, Rick, pick a topic. So what's your topic tonight?
Well, I thought I've been watching a lot of videos probably over the course of the last year or so. And there's an awful lot of guys that collect, Hall of Fame players and player runs. And, John's a super collector, for Wade Boggs. I mean, and I've never been that. I don't have any player runs. per se. I just started out collecting sets, and I started back into the hobby in 1986. And so the first set that I put together was actually 1987 when the cards came out. I bought, I don't know, probably half a dozen boxes. Managed to finally put a set together. Collation was not a word, a concept that Topps really believed in back in the day, in the junk wax day. So and then I went to a card show and I bought a 1960 Topps Mickey Mantle card, because Mickey Mantle was always my favorite player growing up, and I've always had that connection, I think, with him for that reason. And so I bought the card, and I think I paid $25 for it. I mean, it wasn't, 1986, it wasn't very expensive.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of went from there. I just thought, well, I'm gonna try to collect these sets. And my strategy was to go backwards as far as I could and just buy the set, because you could still get, say, a 1986 set in the box, just like it came from Topps.
Yep.
As a complete set. And so I did that, and then I started buying hand collated sets, and I bought the recent Fleer, Donruss, and Topps sets. And I probably did that back to, I'm going to say, 1976. And then that got to be a little bit expensive.
Yeah.
Not terribly expensive, but a little bit expensive. And so I had to kind of slow things down a little bit and really bought the individual cards and took my time and, eventually put together a full set. And so that's what I did. And the first vintage set that I put together was the 1960 set. And I just, got them, say one card at a time, and then I would buy lots. There used to be a guy named Bill Henderson up in, I think, Janesville, Wisconsin.
Mm.
And he billed himself as the King of Commons.
Mm.
And so I bought a lot of commons from him, and went to shows and picked up cards. And there was no eBay back in those days, so it was get the the local Beckett's and get the SCD and
Yep.
look at the ads and see who had what. And one of the first guys I got hooked up with was Kit Young.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And so I was just looking through my empty boxes of kind of sorting cards and stuff, and I ran across one that had return address from Kit Young while he was still in Vancouver, which is, he hasn't been in Vancouver probably for 40 years.
Oh, he's in Canada? He's a Canadian?
Yeah, well, Vancouver, Washington, I think.
Oh,
okay.
I didn't realize it was a big.
It was right on the Canadian border, really. But long story short, that's he's a pretty cool guy, and I got to meet him at the National.
Yep, I've been by his booth. Yep.
Yeah,
I got pictures taken with him, and I got his autographed.
So Rick, you started in
card.
the 80s. These are that's that you collected as a kid and you kept?
Yeah, I did. No, I didn't keep them. I gave all of my cards away to younger kids in the neighborhood.
Okay.
You can keep any of them. And
Wow.
keep
So what
the
was the
man.
first year that you remember opening packs?
1959.
1959.
Wow.
How old were you, if you don't mind
6.
me asking?
I was 6.
You were 6.
Yeah.
Okay. But those, so the cards in your collection are not from back then, then obviously.
No.
Okay.
No.
So what were packs back? Were they 10-cent packs in 59 or were they up to 15?
In 59, they were a nickel.
They were still a nickel. Okay, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. I knew early
Yeah, it was
50s.
probably sometime around, I don't know, 67, 68, something like that, the price went up. But
Okay.
used to be, that when they had a nickel pack back in the early 50s, you got maybe 7 or 8 cards in a pack. So they were even less than a penny a card.
Mhm.
But by 1959, they were a nickel a pack, and that's how I bought cards. I think I told this on another show. I bought them. The ice cream trucks would come right out on the just about on the sidewalk next to the school,
Mhm.
and I bought a lot of cards in from the ice cream man.
Yeah, I saw that video of yours, and it I mean, I remember as a kid, now maybe not going as far back, but it's still a ways back. I remember the ice cream truck. I remember the
Yeah,
music it would play, and hey,
I
the
think
ice cream
it
truck.
still goes in my neighborhood.
yeah.
And
I
they don't have
never
cards, but the bell
thought
rings
that they would sell
and
baseball cards. They never, mine never did, at least that
Uh-huh.
I remember. But
Yeah.
I lived too far in the woods for ice cream trucks as a kid. But where I live now,
everything would
Yeah.
melt by the time they get to your place, right?
seriously. Yeah. But now, I remember my kids running out. Like I said, there weren't baseball cards, but it was still cool to go out and get ice cream. So, Rick, you're a Yankees fan, but I also know you're a Pirates fan. So,
Well,
you're from New York City or Philly, or were you,
I grew up outside of Philadelphia.
so why aren't you a Phillies fan?
The Phillies weren't, because the Phillies stunk. They were
I know
terrible.
Pirates, but I
Still
still
do.
like them.
But
So you went? Was it Bethany that you went to college at?
I went to Bethany College,
Okay.
which is a
Northern West Virginia.
lot closer to you than I am now.
Yeah.
Uh,
So my question is it's not normal for a Philly guy to move to West Virginia. Is your wife from West Virginia originally?
no, she's from Wilmington, Delaware.
Wow. Okay, I'm really confused on why you live in West Virginia.
Yeah,
I got a woman trapped there.
it's not even a very interesting story, but suffice it to say that Bethany College sent a recruiter to my high school, and they offered me a scholarship. And so,
Well, that makes sense.
I thought, well, what the hell,
And you never left.
And that's how I got to West Virginia. Well, I left for 3 years when I went to law school.
Okay.
But when I got out of law school, I came back to West Virginia, and that's where I've been ever since.
do you still practice now, or are you retired, or?
I'm retired. Yeah, I'm a full-time baseball card addict.
Nice. Nice. Well, I understand again that we're talking, baseball cards here, but I
Yeah.
did see the one video with your wife, and she says you collect more than just baseball
Oh,
cards.
yeah.
That I think it's your basement here behind you that you're in.
Yeah,
That you
that's
collect
it. And
multiple stuff.
she has nothing down here. It's
Yeah.
all me.
Yeah, where's the
I've
piano
got,
in the background?
What's that?
Where's
No, it's
the
not a piano. It's a bar.
No, you had a fake background.
Yeah, I did. I did. You're right.
You played
I've forgotten
piano.
about that. Yeah,
I got some.
absolutely. So you can kind of see back here in the corner by the lampshade, you can see some binders back there, and that's really where I'm going to show you a couple of those and kind of how they work together, and then but you can see all the bookshelves, and there's probably, I don't know, maybe 5,000 books down here.
Wow.
5,000.
Yeah,
You mentioned kids. Are they into cards too?
no, they aren't.
Yeah, mine aren't.
They're just, and of course, my wife's certainly not into cards either.
Right,
So,
right.
although she has appeared on 2 videos
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
YouTube.
she did a great job.
Well, she did. I had nothing to do with it, really. I just called her. I said, "Hey, come down here and get on YouTube and tell them something interesting. They're tired of looking at me."
Well, Rick, you said that you started in '87, like your first set that you got was '87, and then you started working your way back, and we can talk about
Right.
those older vintage sets. But
Yep.
did you also continue more presently? Like, do you
Yes.
have so how far do you have up to 2023?
2023.
Okay. All right. So
So
you
I've
keep
got
it, you're
tops.
growing both ways then.
Right. Now, they're
Nice
just
comment.
tops. Sometime around, I don't know, 95 or something like that. I just said there's too many. I can't collect them all. I didn't want to spend my, scarce resources collecting a bunch of, stuff that I really wasn't that interested in. So I just said tops, and that's it. I'm not going to
That's
do anything else.
what you described right there is how I got into collecting just Wade Boggs. Because
Yeah.
I had sets, the main tops, Flair Donruss and stuff.
Yep.
And then all those companies started all those different offshoots, all the
Yeah.
multiple sets for those companies. And I said, it's too
Right.
much.
Yep.
And rather than just say, well, let me just stick with tops or whatever, I went in a
Mhm.
completely different direction and
Yeah.
became a player collector, while you just honed your focus and then stuck with tops and then started going back as well.
Right. Yeah.
That's interesting. Right around 95. It's just
Yeah.
So,
It's just
how far do you go back?
I have I have all of the top sets except for 1952 complete.
Okay.
So that's the only one I'm working on.
So from 53 up.
From 53 up to 23.
That's amazing.
And
What about the Bowman sets?
I've got all the Bowmans.
You got all the Bowmans.
And then I've got a few other sets over and above that. I've got a
Like who?
54 Red Heart set, and I've got I have the 39 play ball set. Just working on the 40 and 41.
Okay.
What
about Gaudy or Diamond Stars?
I don't have any other complete sets yet.
Okay.
But I am working on the 35 Gaudy 4-in-1s.
Okay.
And I'm working on the Diamond Stars. And Gaudy is probably out of reach for me. I might be able to get a Babe Ruth card, maybe in some very poor condition,
right.
But there's no way I'd be able to afford to get all 4 of them, and then the 4 Gehrig cards on top of that, and not to mention everybody else,
Yeah. So how far away are you on finishing the 52?
The 52?
Yeah.
I'm a little over halfway. I've got I have a very often used strategy. I just start at the beginning with card number 1, and I buy whatever's opportunistic, and then when I'm just filling in, I'll go on eBay and I say, well, let's see, next card I need is 126, so I'll look for card number 126.
Okay, so it's not a random. You actually have a method and a
yeah, that's my method.
Okay.
And the high numbers are usually the ones that are, the scarcer series, and of course that's true of the 52 set. So, I'm saving the best for last.
Yeah. What about the 51, the red backs and the blue back?
I have a red back set. Don't have the blue backs, but I do have the red back set.
Rick, you have 70 years of complete sets.
I know it.
That's insane.
I mean, it's
kudos to you, man. That's awesome.
It's over 110 binders now.
Wow.
you know.
Well, yeah, because of multiple sets in the 80s and so on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I got, in the 80s, I got 3 sets for every year or more, because I got the Upper Deck when it came out, and I got the Bowman, 89 Bowman set when it came out, and the Topps big cards, which are
Yep, I remember
horrible.
them.
They're just terrible. They look terrible. They feel terrible.
Yeah.
They stick together. It was a disaster,
Now,
I think.
when you put your sets together, are you? And I think I know the answer to this, but because I think you may have mentioned it in one of your videos, are you concerned at all regarding the condition? Are you looking for ones that maybe not high condition, but nice eye appeal, or do you not matter if they're off center and creases, that you just want the card, or is there an in between?
Well, I have a Ted Signs card for the 59 Fleer set, and it's almost torn in half.
Okay,
It's hanging on by
but it's
by
still intact
thread.
and it's still a card. Yeah,
But I do have one,
yeah,
and that's the compulsion. It's if I could afford gem mint 10s, that's what I'd get. But I can't afford that, so I
as
have
a
to.
lot of us can't. Yes.
And it's more important for me to have an example of every card
Right.
that's in the set than it is for me to have, unmarked gem mint checklists. I don't care about that.
Yep.
But I would say that whenever I would buy cards from somebody like Kit Young, I'd call them up and I'd say, I've got $100 to spend, and I'm perfectly happy with good to very good cards. Because he would sell them in lots, but you know whatever his internal grading system was, he was always pretty fair, and I never haggled with him too much, because it was hard enough to find somebody who would send you what you paid for, let alone not everybody did.
Well, that must make the, collecting and building the sets easier then, than trying to go for, particular eye appeal, or,
Oh
even
yeah,
though they're not
yeah.
graded, but a
I
particular
mean, you couldn't.
grade.
There was no way for you to see them if you bought them,
Right.
through the mail. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
true.
just, I trusted him. I mentioned Bill Henderson. I bought a lot of common cards from him, because he would sell them, at a bulk rate. You buy 100, you get
Is
them.
he still around? I'm not familiar with him.
I don't think he is. I don't. I asked somebody from Wisconsin at the National. Just ran into somebody, and I asked him, and he didn't know who he was. But he used to advertise in the Beckett Baseball Guide.
Right.
There's a page in here for Bill Henderson, and but I haven't seen anything from him in, I don't long time, multiple decades.
Oh, really?
Well,
Yeah,
that's how I
when
think.
you've been at it, for 40 plus years, people come and go.
Well, I think a lot of people, back when you first started, maybe not even you, but even others before you, they'd use those publications. Sports Collectors Daily, I think, was the big one. There may have been another one where
Yeah,
it
there was
was
a bunch of them.
designed for people to say, "Hey, I have these commons or this or it." You don't see that advertised too much. Of course, now you have eBay and
Right.
online stuff,
Yeah.
but that's really, unless you had a local card show where you can go and trade or buy whatever. A lot of it was done through the mail, and all
Yeah.
these advertisements of saying, "Hey, we have," and because I still remember when I first started, and whether it be in Beckett or other magazines, where it would be, hey, 100 cards from 1978 tops, 100 cards in very good condition at a certain price, and then 100 cards in excellent condition to be a little bit more. And either they'd be random, no duplicate. It'll say, hey, no duplicates, things like that. And that's if you were looking to buy a set or just collect. That's how you had to do it.
Yep, that's it exactly. I mean, unless you bought the whole set, at one go.
Right? Yeah, yep. And they also sold. I mean, some of them even sold the complete sets as well. If I recall.
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's a top set that I want to ask you about because it's near and dear to my heart. And I don't collect full sets except for the 1976 tops because that was my first year collecting. But I do collect Hall of Famers sets, and it's one of the sets that I absolutely love. Do you have this set?
I do not. I have 9 cards short.
Okay. So you are working on it. So even though it tops, it's kind of I feel that set gets forgotten.
And I remember buying them. Really? It was I liked them right from the very beginning. Although any that I had in 1964, I couldn't resist. Punching out the player and standing them up. Pretend you're playing a game.
That's what they were meant for. I mean,
they were cards you could actually do something with beyond just look at them.
Yep. Now, how were they sold? Were they sold as part of another card, or individual packs, and how many?
It was one card per pack.
One card, okay.
A pack.
Yeah.
And you can see through the pack. Actually, Kate Young has the last national I was at was in Atlantic City, and Kate Young had some of the unopened packs.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They're see-through almost. You can see who the
it was not an insert in the regular packs, just separate. And
what about the 64 Topps Giants set? Do you have that?
Yeah, 64.
Yeah.
That's
a nice set.
I don't have all of those things, but I do have the 64 Giants. I have the 65 embossed set. I've got the 68 game cards. I've got a couple sets of the posters. 67 I've got, and I think 72 maybe.
Okay.
So I've got a fair number of oddball sets, and what I do is I'm gonna show you an example.
I need to pick up a 64 Yastrzemski Giants.
I'll just take the regular set. This happens to be 1977, so I've got the the cloth stickers, and I just put them in the binder, at the back, so you can kind of see what.
So those are the stickers, right there?
Yeah, the ones with the blue and the white backs.
Right.
Those are stickers, and then it just goes back through the set. I don't have all of the.
Can you turn back so we can see the front of the stickers?
Sure.
Oh, you didn't have to take it out.
Yeah, that's just easier if I take it out, I think.
We just totally messed up your binder.
Yeah, I've got the 55, player cards. I don't have the whatever there were checklists or something. I don't know. There's some 22 additional cards that aren't really players, or so I don't have those. But that's it, and I just put them, and I've done all that through most of them. The coins I have separately. Obviously, they wouldn't fit in I couldn't put the cards in if I had the coins in there. So I have the 64 set and maybe the 71 set.
Yeah, but there's a lot of coins.
I have one Solata coin, and that's the mantle.
Yeah. Do you have one of these? The original package?
No, I sure don't. That's cool.
My oldest brother. So that is the street I grew up on. My last name, and I think it was 3 cents. And I don't let him know that I have these. I don't know how I got them, but it's these are original. I didn't buy these; they were sent to my brother.
Yeah, a whole set.
No, it's not the whole set.
Okay,
I don't know how they picked it, but yes, they spelled our last name wrong. Didn't even need a zip code back then, I guess.
Yeah, that's
right. 16 years older than me, so I'm 56, so he's 72.
Well, he's right in my age group.
Yeah, so this was sent, I don't even know the year. It doesn't even say on it. But,
yeah. The bigger cities had postal zones.
What's that?
The bigger cities had postal zones. So you still see them in old advertisements now. You saw like New York 7, New York.
From Pittsburgh. I grew up about 20 miles outside of it, and it's a booming suburb now. But back then, it was country.
Yeah. Well, they don't have Moon Township for nothing. For no reason.
Oh, you know about Moon Township, man.
It looks like the dark side of the moon.
Yeah. That's a real town in Pittsburgh. How do you know that?
Well, I've been in Pittsburgh many times.
Do you know Mars and?
Yeah, I know Mars. Absolutely.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, Rick, one of the cards that I'm hoping you'll show off. You showed off before we started recording here.
Yeah.
You do have some graded cards in your collection.
Yeah, I do, and more recently than when I was putting together these sets. So whenever I upgrade, if it's a card worth having in a graded slab, that's the way I do it. So you're kind of talking about this. This is the most recent set that I put together.
Yeah.
49 bucks.
That card. That is beautiful.
And this was the last card that I got, and I got it at the National in Chicago just a few months ago.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
I was looking. I think I found 3 that were for sale, and this one was I think one of them was a 5, and it was too expensive for me. But this would have been too expensive for me if I had bought it at the sticker price. But I had and I took it with me to the National. I had an ungraded Michael Jordan rookie card, if you consider his 3rd year card to be a rookie card, because they didn't have any before that. Topps didn't have any, or Fleer didn't have any before that. And so I got it graded at the National. I actually showed it to the guy that had this card, and I asked him, would you be interested in a trade? And I told him what I had. And he said, get it graded. As I told him I was thinking about getting it graded anyway. He said, go ahead and get it graded, and I'd be interested. So I got it graded. It came back a 7, which was, I was hoping it would come back an 8, because then I thought I could trade him straight up,
Yeah.
But and I know they have to make a little money too. So I ended up getting this card for a Michael Jordan graded 7 and $500, which I considered to be. I mean, I couldn't pay him fast enough. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I was so thrilled because I didn't know how I was going to get this card if I didn't do something like that.
Yeah.
you know.
So how do you store, do you like, well, two questions. I'm assuming you have a separate area where you store your graded cards, but then
Interrupt
your
John. I just gotta show mine.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, big show off there, Dawn.
Yeah.
No, actually yours is here. Let me give you the
Not as
proper.
centered as well as
Oh, look at that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
three.
Yeah. You inspired me to get this one.
I bought this at the local card shop, and the guy's like, I still miss that card. I'm like,
That's awesome.
you're not getting it back.
Yeah.
And I give my buddy Scott a hard time because he doesn't have that card. Yeah.
So, any card that I have graded that's actually, part of the set,
Mhm.
I'll take a picture of it and print it.
Mhm.
And
Put it
then
in the binder.
I just put that piece of paper in a penny sleeve, and I stick it in the slot.
Yep.
And it's really just to remind me that, I'm not actually missing a card. I remember then, where to find it.
Yeah.
And so I had a year and a half ago at the 22 National, I submitted my first card for grading, and it was this card.
Wow.
Oh.
So and it came back a 2.5, and I was really thrilled with that. I thought,
That card.
Yeah, it looks great.
But when I bought this card, I paid less than $1,000 for it.
Wow.
And I bought it through the mail.
Wow.
It's literally an ad in the back of the Sports Collectors Digest.
Was there a picture at all, or it just said
No,
51
really?
Bowman mantle?
You just bought it.
$900 or whatever.
Sight unseen.
Now, did they give an estimate of what they thought the grade was or condition?
Yeah, I think. I mean, he didn't have a picture of it, but he did describe it, and it's got a little corner crease, and it's got a couple soft corners, and but it's good on. The back is nice.
Yeah.
If I can get it where it's not so much
There you
glare.
go.
There you go.
Wow.
So the back's pretty sharp, and so anyway, I mean that's an example of one that's in that box, that's specially designed. It's a cardboard box, but it's specially designed for graded cards.
Buy that card sight unseen.
And I got a few more. I'll just show them to you, real quick here. I got the 52 Mays, and that's in a 1.5.
That's well centered for a 52.
It is pretty well centered, and it looks great. The back looks great.
Yep.
I'm moving it around, but I'm just trying to get the glare off of it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
And this is an example of one that shows, but I'm not terribly condition sensitive. So
it's so white on that card. Jeez.
Can you see the creases in it?
Yep.
What?
Right up here.
Yeah.
It's got multiple creases there where it looks like it was folded at one point in time.
The creases. I'll take it off your hands.
Yeah.
You're upset with the creases.
Yeah. I'm very happy with it. I don't intend to upgrade this.
That was the only way I was able to get my 54 Bowman mantle. I got it in a 1, and it has creases, but it's not. It's like that maze there. You notice some, but it's not overpowering.
I'm sitting here holding the 54
there
Bowman.
You go.
So this is not the card that I bought, but this was one of the very first cards that I got. And right up here, somebody had put tape on the card, that tape it to their wall, I assume.
Yeah.
And so it had a tape mark, and the tape was so old that it it just frayed and came off, and it took a little piece of the paper with it.
Mm.
So I decided I would upgrade this card, and I did that not too awfully long ago.
Yeah.
But that's that's really the extent of my graded card collection. That's part of a set.
Okay, so it's just a few of the,
Yeah, just a few, right?
I want to say higher end, but maybe more expensive, rarer ones, things
Yeah.
like that. That you, like you said, that you feel you want to just have protected a little bit more because of the investment you have in them.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Rick, everything I've seen is post-war, which I think that's where John and I play in that field as well. Do you dabble in pre-war?
Yes, I've started to do that. As I mentioned, I have a 39 play ball set.
Right.
That's the only really complete set pre-war that I have. But I'm working on the 40 and the 41, and I have a separate pre-war binder that anything that I have that's in the nature of pre-war that's not graded is in that binder.
Okay.
And if it's graded, then it's in that box with the others as a solo, card.
Yeah. Do you
But
ever get
eventually,
do you ever get tempted? I know your focus is to pick up individual cards, but that are part of a set that you're building. Do
right?
you ever get an urge to go buy a card that, let's just say a T206, or maybe one of the Gaudis, or another, an individual card? You say, where I really like to have that card. I'm not really going to complete the set, but I
Right.
mean, do you have any of those?
I do.
cards?
Not a lot, but I do have some. And you're absolutely right, because of the price of pre-war cards and the relative scarcity of them as compared with the 65 top set. I and the relative scarcity of funds in my checkbook that I can spend on baseball cards. I do. I've completely modified my strategy for collecting, and I'm trying to do. I'd like to get a playing days card, and this is not achievable either, but a playing days card of of the main players, the major players. So I'm kind of working on that. I have some DiMaggio cards, and I have some Ted Williams cards from the pre-war cards. Well, I have a Ted Williams card, I should say. I'm 39.
Yeah, but you have other cards that are post-war. They're still.
Yeah, well, I've got his post-war cards.
Yeah.
At least insofar as they were part of a major set.
Right.
I don't have the Burke Ross, And,
What I'm talking about, there was 54, 56, 57, 55.
Yeah.
He just happens to have that binder right there.
I have,
How convenient.
I've got my 57 binder here, and of course, Ted is card number
Ted
one.
Yogi, right up the front.
He's card number one.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I love that set. I've heard people poo-poo that set. They think it's kind of boring. That's one of my. I think that's a great set.
I think it's one of the. I personally think it's one of the more attractive.
Yeah, I do too.
So when I got completed the the 407 cards in the set, the base set, I started going after these cards. I don't know if you can.
Oh, nice toilet paper there.
Yeah, that's nice. I don't know what happened here.
We never had that on the show before, Rick.
Well,
You say toilet paper. hell are you doing?
Yeah.
We're all over the place.
It should. There we go. Okay.
There we go.
Can I ask you a question, Rick?
Yeah.
Why do you have toilet paper right by your computer? Oh, that's right. Oh, never mind.
But are you familiar with these? The checklist cards and the game cards,
No. Oh, there goes the camera again, I think, a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll bring it back. This card here, and then these three, and these are the checklists. And it was there were 5 series, so maybe there were 5 series, right? And so they put them on the back also.
Okay. Oh, so one's like a bright white, and the other is more like the cardboard. Okay.
Yeah. And then the checklist came, and you'll see that this has the big Bloney chewing gum on the back ad. There's also a checklist with bazooka on the back.
Okay.
And then there are these contest cards. These are they picked a game, and you had to do something. I don't know, pick the score or something like that. And if you got it right, you'd win a prize. And they show some of the prizes that on the card there.
Cool.
And there were 4 of those. And they were actual games on the schedule. And then there's this card, which is known as the Lucky Penny Insert.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that before.
Yeah, it's not an expensive card. It's not rare or anything, but it was one of those cards that most kids threw in the trash.
Yeah.
So I've gone a little bit in some of these sets. I've gone a little bit beyond, just the base set. And right now I'm trying to put together a set of the 62 Topps green tint cards from the second series.
Yep.
I think there's something like I don't know, 88 of those or something. I think that's the number. And I'm about maybe a third of the way through that.
All right. Hey, before we're not quite ready to wrap up here, but if you're familiar with the show, I always like to have a trivia question. And now at first I thought this was going to be mainly directed to Don and test his Pittsburgh Pirates knowledge. But Rick, with you being West Virginia, maybe know some of Pirates history. Let's see if I can stump either one of you. All right. Which 1955 Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher became the first pitcher in Major League history to throw for the cycle, meaning allowed a single, double, triple, and home run all in his debut inning?
Debut inning.
So in one inning, he gave up a single, double, triple, and a home run.
And this was a 1950 he was on the 55 roster.
55. Yep.
Did he have a card?
I don't know if he had a card. I'm not sure. It's a trivia question.
I don't know the answer, but I would guess, somebody like Bob Friend or Vern Law. Maybe Harvey Haddix. He wasn't on the Pirates in 55, but
let's just say I'll give you a hint. It's a name I've never heard of.
Okay.
So it's obviously it's not a Hall of Famer. It's not a star player of the day. So again, it's probably a stumper here, but I'll give you a shot.
Initials?
Huh?
Can you give his initials?
AG.
AG.
Again, I don't know if he had, by the sound of once I tell you the answer, I'm going to guess that he didn't have a card made of him unless it was maybe a rookie. Well, no, they didn't have multiplayer rookie cards then. So
nope.
I'm going to guess no. But
I have no idea.
All right. The answer is Al Grunwald.
Never heard of him.
It was Grunwald's first major league start, and the New York Giants gave him a proper welcome by beating the Pirates 12-3.
Sounds like it might have been his last start, too.
Well, Grunwald lasted only 3 games in the season and retired. He came back in 1959 with the Athletics, allowed 18 hits in 11 innings, then retired again.
Well, he was really good.
Al Grunwald.
That's not even a fair question.
His career win-loss record is 0-1.
And it's probably that first
I'd
game.
say that's probably the one.
Yeah.
He had a let's see, run average.
I would say it'd be pretty high if he lasted 1 inning and
there ERA 7.94.
Oh,
in 19.
I thought it'd be higher. Maybe the home run.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
All right, I'm going to throw one here. Rocketrickj says he's a West Virginia guy. This one's so easy. I won't get it, but Rick, I think, will. These guys played high school basketball together, did not win a state championship. One made the NBA, one made the NFL.
And from where did you say?
I don't know the exact town, but they're from West Virginia.
So what was the
one made the NFL. That's probably Randy Moss.
Correct.
And the other one, I can't think of his name right now, but he was a real wizard ball handler.
White chocolate nickname, ring a bell?
Son.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I can't think of his name.
White chocolate.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah.
Jason Williams.
Do you remember his name?
Jason Williams.
Jason Williams. Yeah.
And they both played at Marshall at one point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there were a couple of pretty good basketball players from West Virginia,
Jerry West.
Jerry West, another guy named Hot Rod Hundley.
Yep.
Another guy named Fritz Williams. You remember him? I think he went to I'm going to say Marshall.
There's a girl named Amy Kimball that went to WVU.
Yeah.
I married her.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep, I'm married to a mountaineer. We have a mixed marriage. I'm a Nittany Lion.
Oh man, that's great.
So, is there anything else, Rick, that you want to talk about or discuss with like sets or anything like that? Or
if I could just leave sort of with this summary, I think one of the reasons that maybe set collecting has fallen something out of favor is just the enormous increase in prices of older stuff. It's so prohibitively expensive to collect all of them. And so I don't know that, there's going to be that many people that are going to try to put together a 53 top set or a 53 Bowman color or
I think you're dead on. Like for me, the few Hall of Fame sets I have were expensive enough.
Yeah.
Like, and then to get all these guys I don't know much about, I think if it was inexpensive, I'd go for it. But
yeah,
it's like, geez.
and when you when you get 60 or 70 of those guys in a high number series, you really question your sanity about whether this makes any sense.
Well, even if you're looking to build, like, an ungraded set, and even if you don't care too much about the overall condition of the card,
Yeah.
I've not that I've really looked, but I've noticed at card shows, they'll have boxes of, say, 59s if you want to put a
Yeah.
59 set together. But I just happened to look quickly as people were going through, and if I'm not mistaken, it's not uncommon for just a common card to be $5, $8, $10.
Yep.
Well, you have a set that's 500 cards at $5 to $10, and that's assuming all of them you can get at common prices, which you're not. You're going to have the semi-stars. You're going to get obviously the Hall of Famers. So even if you don't get them, graded copies, just ungraded copies of, say, the Mantle or Aaron or Mays, yeah,
Let me just
you're
show
in
you that
thousands and
if I
thousands and
could.
thousands of dollars.
This is an example of the checklist that I use to put together the 67 top set.
Mm.
And I just circle a card on this sheet. And I
Yep.
kept this card in the back of the binder that I had for that year. And I would pull it out if I was going to a card show and take that with me.
Yeah.
And I also kept track of it in this book. You'll see.
Looks a little worn. Yep.
Yeah. For example, here's the 1965 tops, and I just would, black out the card.
Yeah. And that's what it was for. Those little boxes were meant to be as a checklist.
Yep. There we go. I keep losing. Some people might consider that to be an advantage. All right, I'll get down here. Sorry about that. I should learn how this thing works.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think maybe it'll come to rest. There we go. So that's kind of how I did it, and I'm thrilled to have all these cards. I don't regret getting them, but I'm not too sure how practical it is anymore.
So where do you go from here? You have all these sets completed.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it. You go to the National or whatever show you go to. What are you looking for now? Because your sets are done.
Well, I'm still looking for 52 tops cards.
Right.
Pre-war, I'm very interested in that. I have a completely different strategy. I'm not quite so much a set collector if it's before the end of the Second World War. But I would like to have a green Ty Cobb, and I'd like to have a Cy Young, and I have no illusions about the extreme unlikelihood of ever collecting anything approaching a full set, even if you take out the Wagner and the Plank and the Doyle, and it's it doesn't really matter because I can't get the other ones either.
Well, Rick, as you were talking about the sets and building, you said something interesting, because you said something about that you're not sure it's worth it. Now, I think you were maybe referring to like collectors like myself trying to complete vintage sets and whether it's worth spending the money and stuff. But I would think my personal opinion is, obviously you've put so much time and effort into these complete sets. Obviously you enjoy.
Oh, absolutely.
So when I hear you saying this is for people that are watching, when you say, oh, you're not sure it's really worth it. I think for you it has been, because that's how you enjoy collecting cards. It may not be for everyone,
right,
you certainly found that that's your niche in the hobby that you've enjoyed for decades building,
Yep,
and it's a very
absolutely.
impressive collection. But as I think you maybe pointed out there, it's maybe not for everyone or every
Yeah.
budget, maybe.
And it's becoming increasingly not economical, really. It's just um but I I was able to do it given the structure of things at that time. And it doesn't work so well for pre-war, even if you're willing to accept, you know, cards in poor condition, which I am, by the way. But even then, they're still expensive. You know, I mean, a DiMaggio in poor condition is still $1,000. You know,
Wow.
that's
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
sure.
At least it is to me.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
But
Well,
that's that's it. And I really wanted to try to get when people say, "Oh, I don't collect sets," it's not because you don't love them and you don't want to have them. It's just that it's not practical. It's not practical anymore.
yeah.
It's much more practical to go after a Hall of Fame run. You know,
Yeah.
that's
And
expensive,
the
certainly, but
it's expensive, but as you pointed out there on your back wall, it takes up a lot of space.
it does. Yeah,
Yes, but especially if you have it in binders. And to me,
right.
I have a bunch of sets. I don't have the room right now, but when I do get the
You
room,
just put them up there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when I have sets right now just in boxes. But my ultimate goal when I do have more space is I want to put them in binders. I want to be able to look through them. And so that's
Yeah.
my eventual goal, but I have not even close to the sets that
Well,
that
that's
do that.
that's the thrill of them is, you can pull down a binder that you haven't looked at this year or 10 years and just go through it. And I was going through that 77 set earlier today, and there was I don't know if you remember this name, but there was a pitcher named Randy Moffett.
I
Wait,
think yeah.
Randy Moffett,
Billy
you
Jean
remember?
King's brother.
Yeah, it's Billie Jean King's a younger brother.
Oh, okay.
Um, there just so many things, and then kind of on a sort of a sad note, and I don't want to end on a downer, but there was a card of Lyman Bostock in that same set.
Cut,
Well,
cut.
Lyman Bostock was murdered.
The Twins to the Angels, right? You can
So
on 77, man.
yeah,
Those people.
I mean, it's just you forget that these are ordinary people who have
Lyman.
all the same experiences that other ordinary people have. They just could play baseball.
Mhm.
Rick,
So
though, Lyman Bostock,
yeah,
that guy wouldn't have been murdered. That guy was talented.
yeah.
What
Or Bob Moose. Now, since we're talking about Pittsburgh Pirates, there's a guy killed in a car wreck accident.
Bob Moose?
Bob Moose.
Yeah. Yep. But Lyman was just sitting in a car. A stray bullet meant for someone else
Yep.
hit him, and yep.
Well, I'm very happy to be a part of this. I watched the first episode and most of the other 14 or so. I guess this is 16 maybe.
Yep, 16th. Yep.
So I've watched probably better, well, certainly more than half of them. And I
So
thought,
when he
well,
said watch half of them, John, he's watched my half. And I told him,
yeah, that's
Probably.
right. Yeah. Out of a sense of undying loyalty.
Yeah. Well,
no,
we
Rick, I am so glad you joined us, man. You're one of the guys I want to get on.
Well,
I appreciate
I'm
taking our offer.
thrilled to be here. I
Yep.
really am.
And I should have mentioned it earlier. For those who've stuck around this long, we really appreciate it. But I will have a link to Rick's channel in the description of this video. If you're not familiar with Rick's channel, his videos, definitely go visit his channel. Check out some of his videos. I'm sure you're just going to be amazed at what he has to show off and the stories and stuff. And if you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe to his channel. So again, Rick, we really appreciate you being on. We had a great, fun discussion. I always love hearing about other collectors' perspectives and how they find enjoyment within the hobby. So again, we really appreciate you having you on. And again, for those that are still watching, we appreciate you listening, and we will catch you next time.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.